Hi guys! Today I'll show you how to make classic pecan pie. Pecan or pecan. However you pronounce it, it's delicious. With most pecan pies you can only eat a tiny sliver because it's so sweet. With this recipe you can have a proper slice like this. It's got the perfect amount of sweetness, perfect amount of nuts, buttery flaky crust. This is a pie you can make the night before, so I hope you make it for your holiday meal. It's easy and you don't have to bake it the day of. All the ingredients and measurements are in a link right below this video. First I'll show you how to make the pie crust. If you don't want to make your own, substitute a store-bought crust. Using a food processor is the fastest way to make pie crust. Add all-purpose flour, salt, sugar, shortening, cold unsalted butter cut into small cubes like this. Pulse about 8 times until you get this crumbly mixture. You should see pieces of butter. Add ice-cold water a little bit at a time and pulse until just before the dough forms into a ball. It happens very fast. It holds together nicely. Take the blade out first, then put the dough onto plastic wrap. Place the wrap over the dough and form into a disc. See the pieces of butter throughout the dough. Put this in the fridge for at least an hour. The dough can be made ahead and frozen for a few months or refrigerated for 3 days. After an hour in the refrigerator, I've taken the pie dough out. I'm going to let it sit on the counter for about 10 minutes so it's easier to roll out. Here's the 9-inch glass pie plate that I'm going to use. It's 9 inches across by 1.2 inches deep, 22.8 centimeters by 3 centimeters. This is the most common pie dish sold at most stores. To roll out the pie dough, put some flour down on your counter. This way your dough won't stick. Also put a little bit of flour on top. Now we can roll it out. Start from the center. If you find that the dough is sticking to the counter, just put a little bit more flour underneath. Give it a quarter turn. See, it rolls out easily. If your dough is very sticky, make sure to flour the rolling pin as well. If the edges crack at all, just push them together, it'll be fine. Put the pie plate upside down. The dough should be about 3 inches wider than the pie plate. We're almost there. Now you just want to take the dough and roll it on the rolling pin gently. Halfway, put the pie plate down and gently unroll the crust. And you want to pick up the dough and just tuck it in. Pick it up and just tuck it in. Use your fingers and just go around. You don't want to stretch the dough. Trim the excess dough, leaving about 1/2 inch. Tuck the dough under itself. Just make it even. You can stop right here with the crust or use the tines of a fork and press down on the edge of the dough to crimp the edges. I like a fluted edge, which is pretty and gives your pie that classic look. 2 fingers and the thumb. Push out with this finger. And here's our pie crust. Put this in the freezer for 10 minutes or refrigerate for 20 minutes. Heat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. Now we'll bake the crust. This is called blind baking. It's best to do this to avoid a soggy, undercooked crust. Cover with aluminum foil. Make sure the edges are covered. Fill it with rice, pie weights, or dried beans. Bake in the heated oven for 30 minutes. Make the filling 15 minutes before the crust is finished baking. Chop up whole pecans. You could also do this in the food processor to save time. Pecan pie filling is extremely simple. All we need is butter, brown sugar, and salt, large eggs, vanilla extract, corn syrup, and the chopped pecans. On very low heat, melt the butter. Once the butter is melted, add the brown sugar and salt, and the corn syrup. Melt everything together on low heat. The pie crust is finished baking. You can take that out of the oven. Lift up the foil gently and take the pie weights out. Turn the oven heat down to 325 degrees. Take the pot off the heat, whisk the eggs, add vanilla extract, and the eggs. It's nicely mixed, it's shiny. Add the pecans. And the filling is ready. Pour this filling into the hot crust. Bake in the heated oven for approximately 45 minutes. The edges are set and the center is slightly jiggly. Almost set. Cool completely before cutting into it. Buttery, flaky crust. The filling is perfect. It's not overly sweet like most pecan pies. The pie crust is cooked nicely. It's not soggy. And I always like to chop the nuts up so they look pretty and you don't get one giant pecan with each mouthful. I think it's more pleasant to bite into little pieces of nuts than one big one. I made this pie last night and I just let it cool on the counter overnight. So before I even have my breakfast, I'm having pecan pie. Everyone you serve this to is going to love it, and there are not going to be any complaints. In order to cut nice, clean slices, let the pie cool really well. A dollop of whipped cream or a scoop of vanilla ice cream go perfectly with this pecan pie. Only put a tiny bit of sugar in the whipped cream. The pie is already sweet. You don't need to overly sweeten the whipped cream. If you want to get notifications of when I upload a new video, click on the bell icon and select all. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.